All right, so here's part B. We're doing a gives a false positive, which is when we're looking at ones that give a false positive result, given that we already know that the result was positive. So we're looking at just total positive tests, which is 152, and a false positive means it told you you were fine, but you were not actually fine. No disease in your body, excuse me, it told you you were not fine and you were fine. The other one was it told you you were fine and you were not. So just remember, a false positive means the test result said you're sick, but your body is actually fine. So that's the 7 out of 152. Now, for both of those, that is just reducing the fractions, which are already both reduced, if you double check that. Okay, so for this next one, we have to fill in the missing pieces of the chart. So you can start anywhere you want, but essentially, this row right here has to add to 45. So that's going to be 36. So 45 minus 9 is 36. You could do 150 minus 45 to get the D part if you want. That's 105. 82 minus 9 would be 73. And then 68 minus 36 would be 32. So that's all the missing pieces. Now we can do the questions. What is the probability that someone is an undecided major given we know they are a freshman? So we are only focused on the freshmen right now. So since it was given. So there's only 68 freshmen, and the undecided ones in that group would be 36. And then we want to reduce that. So if you divide both of those by 4, that would be 9 out of 17. Okay. So I'm going to erase the circled part right there. What is the probability the student is a sophomore given that they have a declared major? So this time we're focusing on declared major people only because they said given. So that's out of 105. And we want sophomores in that group, which is 73. And that does not reduce any further. So that's just 73 out of 105. Okay, so those were both conditional. They both had the word given. This next one does not. It just says sophomore and undecided, no given. So that's just how many sophomores are undecided, which is 9 out of all the students that were surveyed, which is 150. And we can reduce that by 3. That would be 3 out of 50. And then what is the probability that someone has a declared major or is a freshman? So remember, or means you have to add and subtract any overlap. So probability of declared plus probability of freshman minus the probability that someone was declared and a freshman. So if you think about circling those rows and columns, so we have the declared, there was 105 of them. The freshmen, there are 68. So 105 out of all 150 people were declared, and 68 people out of the 150 were freshmen. But that 32 that I overlapped with both circles, that's how many people got counted twice when I did it this way. So if we add and subtract across that top, that's going to be 105 plus 68 minus 32. That's going to be 141 out of 150. And those are both divisible by 3, I believe. Yeah, that'll end up being 47 out of 50 when it's reduced. And again, use your calculator to help you reduce. Okay, for number 30, we're dealing with the bell curve stuff again, the standard deviation and the mean. And it says assume it's normal. And this is just the empirical rule, 68, 95, 99.7. So the best way to get these answers really quickly is to put your mean in the middle. So that's 30. Standard deviation is 2. So remember, you add 2 to go up 1 standard deviation, up 2 standard deviations, up 3. That's above the mean. We subtract 2 to go down below the mean. So 28, 26, 24. And the rule is the 68% is 1 below to 1 above. So that would be 28 to 32 inches per hour. That would be that speed. So that's the 68%. The 95% is from 2 standard deviations below to 2 standard deviations above. So that's where we get 95%. And again, this rule is on your formula sheet. So that'd be 26 to 34 inches per hour. And then lastly, from 3 standard deviations below to 3 standard deviations above, that's the 99.7%. So that would be the 24 inches to 36 inches. Okay. And then this last one, it says a random sample of CO2 levels in a school has a mean of 500 and a standard deviation of 80. Use the empirical rule to determine the approximate percentage of 260 to 740 ppm. So we need to, again, make our picture since they said to use the empirical rule, not a z-score. So 500 is the mean, and we're adding and subtracting 80. So that would be 580, 660, and 740 if we're going up. So that's adding 80, adding 80, adding 80. If we subtract 80, that would be 420. And then 440, I believe, or no, 340. Let me double check myself with a calculator. So 420 minus 80, yeah, that is 340. And then minus 80 again is 260. So that's the 3 standard deviations below. Now they wanted us to go from 260 to 740. Now, as long as that is equal distance on each side of the mean, so this was 3 below and this is 3 above, that is one of the special percentages up here. In fact, it's the third one, the 99.7%. You only have to break down to the smaller percentages of each column if you're doing something that's not equally spaced on each side like that. So just make sure, like I said, I have more of a breakdown of this on the video that I posted for that Miss class last week when we had commencement. And that's it. So hopefully that is helpful to everyone and have a wonderful rest of your day.